Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Before we get into the episode, I have an exciting invitation for you. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Robin, and I want to let you know and invite you to a new group I started. It's called the Leadership Purpose Community. The Leadership Purpose Community. And it's a group that I think would be a really good fit for you as a listener of the podcast, because it's an extension of the podcast and we discuss a lot of the issues we do in the podcast and even more. And we'll be focusing on finding fulfillment in our work through leadership purpose. We'll address issues that face high-achieving women, issues and challenges, and we also will celebrate the achievements of high-achieving women. And you know, as I always say, what I mean by high-achieving women, women who are professional, ambitious, goal-oriented, doing all the things and supporting everyone else. This group is for you. And so I think you'd really enjoy it. And I'd love to have you come and join us. Love, love, love to have you come and join us. So if you're interested, come on over to Facebook and search for the Leadership Purpose Community, or go directly to the website, www.facebook.com/groups/Leadership Purpose Community. Again, www.facebook.com/groups/Leadership Purpose Community. I'd really love for you to join us. Hope to see you there. Okay, let's get to the episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. So glad you're here and that you take time out to listen into the podcast and share in on listening to all the amazing guests that we have. And today, our amazing guest is Adriana Monique Alvarez. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Adriana. She is the CEO and founder of AMA Publishing, where she teaches women how to start highly profitable publishing companies. She's an international bestselling author and has been seen in Forbes, Huffington Post, International Living, Fox, ABC, NBC, and so much more. She is the author of How to Start a Six-Figure Publishing Company. And she mentors high-level coaches, consultants, service providers on how to start their own high-earning global impact publishing houses. And currently, she's living in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, where she is renovating her grandparents' home and learning how to homestead with her husband, Derek, and two sons, Sam and Grant. Welcome, Adriana.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
I'm so glad you're here. And oh my goodness, a publishing company helping people. I just can't wait. Let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. First, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll talk about your work.
Okay. So I am that world traveling girl who was born in a small town, but figured out how to make it happen. And so much of my life has been traveling the world. And it started off in my 20s as a volunteer in orphanages. Thankfully, after I got married and started a business, had two babies, and I got to travel with my husband and kids as well. So my kids spent about the first 5-6 years of their life overseas. And now we're on a whole nother adventure, which I've never done before. And we're putting those roots down deep and, trying to get off the grid and be completely self-sustainable.
Wow. So that's why you say you're learning how to homestead, because this is a new experience for you.
It is. We came back to the U.S. a year and a half ago, and my grandparents' home, my family was trying to figure out what to do with it, and it was just the perfect fit. So my husband, he is putting in an entire orchard. I've lost track of how many trees he's planted, hundreds of plants and flowers, and going to start on a greenhouse in the spring. chickens, bees, growing. We're growing like 60 superfoods inside of our house. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That sounds amazing.
Yes.
I mean, literally putting down roots.
Yes, exactly.
Literally.
Quite literally.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Wow. Okay, so tell us about the work you're doing now.
So, one of the main things I do is I teach women how to start their own publishing company. And being a mom, being in business, homeschooling, homesteading, I know how important it is to find something that doesn't take up all of your time and all of your energy. And so I love being able to show women how to do that. We also produce amazing books, not only for our clients, but we also create books for other companies who want to have a publishing branch but don't necessarily want to do it all themselves. And one of the projects I'm most proud of is the Younger Self Letters. It's a book that we produce that goes on to be a USA Today bestseller. And it's where entrepreneurs can share the part of them that isn't the business, isn't that sort of that mask and that persona that they have to wear most of the time. It's those deeper, heartfelt stories.
Oh, wow, that sounds awesome. I know you talked about being international and starting your work with an orphanage, but how did you come to this publishing work? I mean, helping others. It's not something that we hear about every day. So tell us about your journey to this amazing work.
I was blessed to be raised with parents who always thought about giving back. My parents, my entire life, they donated a percentage of their income. Both of them are very successful business owners. And they instilled in me that you've got to be aware of the people who don't have everything that you have. Not everyone has parents. Not everyone has running water and a roof over their head. And so that really stayed with me. And I knew that I wanted to see how other people in other parts of the world live. And it has been a beautiful experience for me because it really was the foundation. The other thing that living overseas did for me is it reminded me of what's most important. Family is most important. Slowing down and sitting at a table and who you eat food with, that really matters. Having space and time to reflect on your life. Is this the kind of life you want to lead? Is this something you're going to be satisfied with? And when you're on the final day, will you have regret about how you have used your time, your energy, your money? And so what this did is when Derek and I have always worked together since day one.
Oh, how nice.
It has been so nice. For me, it's a dream. We get to have a lot of time together, a lot of freedom, and when we had kids, it just played into it more. What kind of mom am I committed to being? What sort of home do I want them raised in? I knew that I wanted them to have time with both of us and do things as a family. And so when I began to look at what my clients were asking for and what they were struggling with, books and publishing always came up because it has been in the past a very complex process, a very long and drawn out process, and one that honestly brought a lot of people to places they didn't want to go because there is so much rejection involved in traditional publishing. And so I just began to think of how can I make this easier? How can we streamline it? How can I put my clients in a position where they say yes to themselves and they're not waiting for someone else to grant them this good enough for our company type of status? And so it was about 5 years ago, we began putting different offers out there, testing it with some clients. And we actually had plans of rolling out our first publishing division when I was pregnant with my third child. And I ended up having a full-term stillbirth. And so we put that on pause. And I just kept the rest of it going. And it was about a year later, I said, you know what? I think I'm ready to do that again. And actually, it was such a big part of the healing process because what I find is that stories allow us to heal. So it was good for me and it was good for my clients. And that was really how we got into it.
Isn't that seems to be the way of life sometimes, how the most heartbreaking thing births something new. In the midst of the pain, it brings joy down the road. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have found that pain and death, loss, grief, it has a way of cracking us open like nothing else can.
Yes.
And while I wouldn't wish it on anyone, there are many gifts in it, and it allows us to access. I know it's allowed me to access more of myself than I ever did before.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's awesome. And good for you for being able to give after that. because some people aren't able to. And you're making such a difference. This is awesome. I mean, you think about the people, I think about, I have you talked about publishing companies. I'm going through a traditional publisher now for a book that I have coming out later this year. And I have one through independent publishing. So I kind of know both sides of it. And
Yes.
to have someone like you who's helping women to kind of alleviate some of the stress involved with that, I think makes a tremendous impact because it allows them to get their message out and make a difference to a broader audience than they would have otherwise. Yeah.
And that's it. That's what it comes down to. And, I celebrate you because this is something so many people dream of, but finishing, it's a big deal.
Yes. Yes, absolutely is. And, it sounds like you've been committed for a long time to this work and variations of it. So tell us what you enjoy most about the work and why. Like, what really lights you up?
People light me up. I'm a people person. When you do all those assessments, I'm like 97% extrovert. My husband will tell you I'll go to Walmart or a coffee shop just to see people, to observe, to kick up a conversation. And what I love most, and this is what I found with travel as well, is that when you stop to have a conversation with someone, you just figure out what an incredible life they've lived. All of the experiences that make them who they are, this unique collection of flavors. And it's just like, wow. There's always something about someone that blows me away. And so finding that and uncovering that is my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you remember? And if not, it's okay. Can you remember an example or an incident when that happened? It could have been anywhere in the world.
Oh, yes. Well, for me, one of my most pivotal moments is when I had just arrived in Albania. I arrived right after the Kosovo crisis, and I was at this state-run orphanage. I was the only adult that was there 24 hours a day, and I use that term loosely because I was like 22 years old. And there's 120 kids, and there was a 5-year-old little girl, the youngest one at the orphanage, Claudiana, and she had such a big personality, and she was just so alive and bold and feisty. And I thought, this child has no one in this world. And yet she literally takes every moment by the horns, and she's just so fully in it. And I always think of her when I want to complain, or I want to feel sorry for myself, or I want to, oh, this should be better, or why haven't I achieved that? And I just go, she didn't have anything. And she was fully enjoying the moment. She was fully wrapped up in life. And once, as I got to know her and spend time with her, she really brought out that feisty 5-year-old in me that had got buried over the years and got trained how to be more polite and more nice and more accommodating. And that's the gift of really getting to know people, is there's actually a piece of you and them that are mirroring each other. And that's what I love to do, is uncover myself through conversations with others.
I love that. Uncover yourself through conversations with others. What a gift. What a gift. Right now, just you saying that to help us think in that way. That's amazing. Now, from all your experience, from that experience throughout your life, pick any era of your life and work and pull from your expertise to offer a word of advice to the women who are listening now. Let me tell you who I think the listeners are. I created the podcast for women who I call high achieving women, just women who are professional, ambitious, goal oriented. They could be leaders in an official capacity, unofficial capacity, but they're doing all the things. And they're the ones that are mostly supporting everyone else. And I thought, who supports them? Because everybody thinks, well, they don't need it because they're doing all the things. You don't even think about it. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to have people like you from various walks of life and experience, no matter what your experience is, but you yourself are a high achieving woman. And so what have you learned from your experience, your expertise that you can share with another? And I thought, if each week a person could walk away with one piece, just help them on their journey. So what's one little piece you can give to whoever's listening to us right now?
Well, I think you really nailed it when you said our kind of women, people assume that we don't need anything because we are incredibly capable, and we have stepped into that role of we figure it out and we make it happen. And so what I would say is one of the greatest gifts I received when I had two babies 12 months apart is it really brought me to my edge. I was a wife, I was a businesswoman, I was the face of the business, and I realized how much I was babying my clients when I had two babies. And I don't know how I made it through those first 2 years, we'll say.
Yeah.
On minimal sleep and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. But I remember it was then that I realized, because I was also raised by the same kind of mother and grandmother, that maybe there was a different choice. Maybe I could do it differently. Maybe I could ask for exactly what would support me and allow myself to receive it. And for a while, this was simply a conversation I played with in my own mind. And then I got brave enough, before I was angry, before I was resentful, before I was at my wit's end, I would clearly communicate what I wanted and what I needed. I would like to have meals prepared for us. I would like to hire someone to take care of the house. I would like to have a nanny. I would like to go on a date. I would like to have a nap at a hotel by myself. And when it showed up or others began to provide it, I didn't judge it. I didn't criticize it. I didn't say, well, I could have done it better or different, or no, thank you. I got it. It completely changed my life. And what I realized is that I can be capable and I can know how to do something and I don't have to.
Yes, that is so powerful. And when it started coming to your mind and you were thinking about it for a while, was there something that happened that brought that to your mind? Was there some
I think pure exhaustion, you know?
That will do it.
And I just remember thinking, like, I need a long-term plan, right? I'm 5 minutes into motherhood. This is a long game.
Yes.
I want to be married for a lot of years. I want to be a great mother for a lot of years. I want to be someone who contributes well in my business for a lot of years. I don't think I have a great long-term plan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. We have long-term plans for our businesses and work, but for our lives and well-being in that way, that was insightful on your part. Well, as you know, my work is about leadership purpose, which is the title of the podcast, right? And so when you hear the term leadership purpose, what comes to your mind?
You know, leading on purpose and leading with a purpose, it's so incredibly dynamic because we can lead on autopilot, right? It's been done.
Yes.
And we can lead just sort of charging the way because it's what we've done in the past and we know what to do. But when you are aware of your purpose, what really am I here for? It's not to pay the bills and take the trash out on Tuesday. It's not for the things that we often get caught up in. And so when I hear it, it's like, don't forget you have a purpose and you need to do it on purpose. And the way that I stay out of autopilot is I make sure I have enough space to reflect in my life, because otherwise it's just natural. We're just going to go and the days turn into weeks and they turn into months and years. And then you look back and you go, wait a second, where'd the time go?
Yes, taking time to reflect. That's something I can relate to because it's something I need. I mean, I say I need it. Otherwise, my days are just not anything remotely, any sense of well-being in the day at all. Now, do you think having this sense of leadership purpose is important? If so, why? If not, why not?
I do. You know, the thing of it is being a leader. I mean, there are some people who might think that leaders are born, maybe they're developed, whatever it might be. But in any case, when we're aware of it and when we're mindful of it, this is what I like to think of. When I'm more mindful and intentional about anything and everything, that ripple effect that we love to imagine and we love to have, it actually goes much further. And that's what I begin to see, because just as one example, my children, whether they know what's happening on a conscious level, they feel what's happening.
Right.
So they know if I'm living on purpose and leading on purpose, and they automatically soak this up and model it. And I like to say, like, my boys are like parrots. I'll hear them talking, I go, oh, wait a second, that just came out of my mouth, right? And it's very eye-opening because you realize, oh my gosh, they're becoming me. Is this
Yeah.
a good thing?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yes.
Yes. That'll keep you on your toes.
Oh, it sure does. It makes me go, you better be aware of who you're being.
Who you're being, not just what you're doing, but who you're being. Yes, I love that. Well, Adriana, this has been such an amazing conversation. Is there anything you want to add that I didn't ask you, or anything just pop in your mind right now that you'd like to share?
Well, the last thing that came to me around leadership purpose is, for me, it's so incredibly powerful when leaders who are aware of their purpose are willing to share their story, where they came from, how they got here, what that has been like, and allow people to see the full spectrum. Because as leaders, we often feel like we have to lead with our best foot forward, that we begin to put on these veils and masks and veneer. And the truth of the matter is that the people who are traveling with us, they deserve to see the whole picture.
Yes, yes. I love that. And I just got an idea about something else, but I will control myself. Maybe we can talk about it afterwards. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm sure there are people who are listening who want to hear more of your story and hear more about you. Where can they be in touch with you?
Yes, they can go to amaspeaks.com, and I'd love to connect with them there.
Okay. And that will be in the show notes, amaspeaks.com.
That's
Perfect.
right.
All right. Okay, everyone. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to my website, robinlowens.com, robinlowens.com. Or I'd love it if you just reach out to me on social media, pick your favorite social media channel and contact me at Robin L. Owens, PhD, Robin L. Owens, PhD. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the podcast. And if you want to hear more stories and different people, so drop me a note. In the meantime, I will see you or be in touch, or you will hear me next time. This is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.